to the shoreline. Come with me as we take a walk through the actual intertidal zone. Now you may be asking yourself what an intertidal zone is, and the answer is it's the area between low tide and high tide. So we'll be exploring some flora and fauna there, and we'll also be talking about biotic and abiotic factors. And the last thing that we'll talk about is the manatees, because that is Florida's indicator species. So there are 3 types of the intertidal zones. There's the upper, there's the middle, and then there's a lower intertidal zone. There's also a rocky intertidal zone and a sandy intertidal zone. We'll be exploring all of those intertidal zones today.
First stop is at the Caloosahatchee River. And here yesterday, and the water was over the docks. Do you see how low it is? Well, yesterday was on top of the docks, and it was because of all the storms. And the salinity of the water was abnormally lower, which meant that all the organisms were hiding underneath, trying to get more salinity, or they were already dead, because obviously organisms can't live with super low salinity. So today it is not that low, so I'm hoping to find some organisms, so I'll keep you updated. Thank you. This rock is in the middle intertidal zone, but those rocks are in the lower intertidal zone, and they all have algae on it. So this is obviously a rocky intertidal zone, and this algae looks pretty green to me. I'm not sure if you can tell up close. I'm trying to get some out for you. Let's see if I'm able to do that. So, mangroves are found in between the rocks in the intertidal zone, and this is a leaf that I picked off of it, and there you go, you can see it close up. It's one of the 4 types of flora that I'm supposed to find. So the second type of flora I found is the seagrass, which this is the dead piece. I'm holding my hand if you want to get a closer look at the dead piece. If you want to get a closer look at the pieces that are still alive, then here you go. This is actually part of the upper intertidal zone, and I can't seem to find any organisms right now, but I'm hoping to still look, or even alive organisms at that, because I think I found some limpets, so we'll see what comes next. I found a lot of limpets in the upper intertidal zone, but that's because they were just washed against the shore because they're all dead. But I did happen to find this limpet in the crevices between the rocks in the middle intertidal zone, because there's still somewhat of a little bit of water there. So my second place of where I will be exploring the intertidal zone. Okay, so my second stop of where we're exploring the intertidal zone is at
Yankee Beach,
which is still on the Caloosahatchee River, and we'll see what I can find here. So this is a sandy intertidal zone, sandy/muddy, because this is part of the upper intertidal zone, which brings me to the limiting resource of the upper tidal zone, which is the water. And right now where I'm standing, there is absolutely no water. The water is high tide. Okay, so some of the abiotic factors that are happening right now is the temperature. It's very cold out for Florida, and I can't find any organisms here because the water is so cold. There's such a biotic factor, there's such predation and competition, and they're in the intertidal zone. So, thank you, and now I'm off to my third place where I'll be exploring the intertidal zone. Okay, so right now I'm at Bowditch Point, which is a beach down at Fort Myers Beach. Oh my goodness, look! I found a starfish! Okay, so I found that in the middle intertidal zone, which is almost to the lower intertidal zone, because right now it is
low tide.
And this starfish is a predator in the lower intertidal zone. So I found these oysters washed up against the shore. So they were obviously in the upper intertidal zone because they were washed up against the shore. And they are dead, but they are all squished together. So.
Okay, so those are ospreys, and I just caught one flying. One's flying away. You see that? That is an osprey. It is a predator. But this one is still above the upper intertidal zone and is a predator and is looking to fly into the lower intertidal zone and even farther to find its fish. So I found a snail shell in the upper intertidal zone, but it's supposed to be in the lower intertidal zone, but because it was washed against the shore, it was obviously found in the upper intertidal zone.
I also found these sea grape trees, which it is found in the upper intertidal zone.
So I found some raccoon prints, and I cannot find the raccoon because it's daytime and I'm sure he's hiding, but they are found in the upper tidal zone, and the raccoon is a predator. So I found some fighting conches in this tide pool right here that someone had dug up as a hole, and they are in the upper intertidal zone. Well, more of the middle intertidal zone because right now it's low tide. So the fighting conch is starting to want to fight, and it is coming out. Oh, it's going back in because I just touched it. Okay, so I found the organism of a conch shell without a shell on it, and it is purple inside, and I found it in the middle intertidal zone. I'm gonna go put it in the water for it to find a shell. So I found 2 more starfish, and again with the tide pool in the middle intertidal zone, and these are acting as predators to the sand dollars, which I have not found yet, but hopefully I will soon. Okay, so I found a sand dollar in the lower intertidal zone, and I'm going to put it back even though it is cracked, but I'm still going to put it back. So this was found in the middle intertidal zone. It is a rock, and it is overrun by barnacles, and I walked up to some people, and they were wondering what is moving on it, what is in the barnacles, and I told them it was mussels or chitons. So right now there's a huge flock of seagulls in the upper intertidal zone. They're predators, and they're looking for food. Alright, so I found this dead fish washed up in the upper intertidal zone, and obviously you can see it's dead. So right now, I'm waiting on the raccoon to come back out. You just saw a picture of it, and I really wish I could have gotten video, but I was only able to get a picture. These are the scratches that raccoon made on the beach. This is not in the upper intertidal zone, but it is higher up because it is high tide right now. So the raccoon, which is the predator, only came up this close to the beach. But I'm waiting for him to come back out right now. Okay, so I found some seaweed in the upper intertidal zone. It is usually in the lower intertidal zone, but because of the wave movement and because of the wind, which is an abiotic factor, it was found laying in the upper intertidal zone. It is also high tide right now, so that is another abiotic factor. So that is an anahinga, and it's also known as a snake bird, and right now it's in the upper intertidal zone, and right now it's also drying its wings. Alright, so I found a knickernut plant in the upper intertidal zone. It is a prickly plant. I know that because it has prickles on it and because I touched one and it pricked me. Alright, so I'm at Manatee Park, and there is a bunch of manatees here. And the manatees are the animal that I chose for my indicator species, which they only live in Florida. An indicator species is obviously a species that only lives in a certain area based on what's in that area. The manatees like to live in warm water. They also like to live in fresh water. They can live in seawater, but they mostly like to live in fresh water. So right now I'm at the Caloosahatchee River, and here are some manatees. There's one over there. There's another one. There's a few. I'm hoping that one pops up for you guys. There was one. He kind of popped up. I hope that you really enjoyed this video and learned a lot about intertidal zones. In fact, I hope you learned so much that you're willing to go explore your own wherever you live. Also, there is going to be a bloopers video of this project down in the description below. I hope that you watch it because it is pretty funny. Thank you again, and I hope that you learned a lot about intertidal zones and flora and fauna and abiotic and biotic factors and the manatees. Thank you again.